The lunch crowd filled the small downtown cafe with the clatter of dishes and quiet conversations. At a corner table sat Marcus Hayes, a 38-year-old black single father, wearing a faded grey hoodie, dark jeans and worn work boots. Across from him, his 8-year-old daughter Ava smiled while coloring in a notebook, unaware that her father had skipped breakfast so she could have her favorite grilled cheese sandwich. Marcus looked like an ordinary construction worker, calm and tired, carrying the weight of life on his shoulders without complaint. The front door swung open, and 3 loud men entered. Their leader, Trevor Collins, stood over 6 feet tall with broad shoulders and an arrogant grin. He noticed Marcus immediately. Seeing the old clothes and the little girl, Trevor smirked, as if he'd found easy entertainment. He deliberately bumped Marcus's chair while walking past, spilling coffee across the table. Ava gasped, but Marcus quietly grabbed napkins and wiped away the mess without saying a word. Trevor laughed loudly so the entire cafe could hear. "Look at this guy," he mocked. "Single dad, cheap clothes, can't even afford a decent meal." His friends burst into laughter. Several customers lowered their eyes, embarrassed, but no one stepped in. Marcus simply looked at his daughter and smiled gently. "It's okay, sweetheart. Finish your lunch." Trevor wasn't satisfied. He walked back, leaned over Marcus's table, and flicked Ava's crayon box onto the floor. Colored pencils scattered everywhere. Ava's eyes filled with tears. Marcus slowly stood, his face calm, his voice steady. "Please leave my daughter out of this." The bully stepped closer until they were nearly chest to chest. "Or what?" Trevor sneered. "You gonna cry?" Marcus didn't answer. Instead, he bent down, collected every crayon one by one, and handed them back to Ava. His patience confused everyone watching. Trevor laughed even harder, believing he'd completely humiliated him. What he didn't notice was Marcus quietly scanning every exit, every table, every reflection in the cafe windows. His breathing remained slow and controlled. His eyes missed nothing. The waitress nervously whispered to another employee that they should call the police, but before anyone could move, Trevor shoved Marcus backward. Chairs scraped across the floor. Ava screamed, "Daddy!" Marcus stumbled exactly 1 step before regaining perfect balance. Something about the movement looked unusual, too precise, too controlled. An elderly man sitting near the window narrowed his eyes. He recognized that stance instantly. It wasn't fear, it was training. Trevor mistook Marcus's restraint for weakness. "See," he shouted, "you're nothing." Marcus looked at his daughter one last time and quietly said, "Close your eyes for a second, sweetheart." Ava obeyed without hesitation, trusting her father completely. The entire cafe fell silent, sensing that something had suddenly changed. Marcus's relaxed posture disappeared. His shoulders squared, his breathing slowed even further, and his expression became unreadable. The tired single dad everyone had ignored was gone. Standing in his place was someone who moved with the calm confidence of a man who had survived battles no one in the room could imagine. Before Trevor could throw another punch, Marcus moved. To everyone watching, it almost looked as though he had vanished. In one smooth motion, he stepped to Trevor's side, redirected the attack with effortless precision, and used the bully's own momentum to send him crashing harmlessly onto the cafe floor. Cups rattled, chairs slid, and stunned silence replaced the laughter that had filled the room seconds earlier. Trevor's friends rushed forward together, convinced they could overwhelm him. Marcus never struck first. He simply flowed around them with incredible speed, avoiding every swing by inches. One man lost his balance and stumbled into a chair. Another found his wrist gently locked behind his back before he even realized what had happened. Within moments, all 3 men were lying on the floor, unable to continue, more shocked than injured. Marcus never lost control. He never kicked anyone who was down. He never raised his voice. His only concern was making sure Ava remained safe. The elderly customer slowly stood and shook his head in disbelief. "I've seen moves like that before," he whispered. "Delta Force." The cafe owner looked at Marcus with wide eyes. Were you in the military?" Marcus took a slow breath before helping Trevor back onto his feet. "A long time ago," he replied quietly, "but today I'm just a father trying to have lunch with his daughter." Police officers arrived minutes later after several customers had already recorded the entire incident on their phones. The security cameras confirmed everything. Marcus had never started the fight. He had repeatedly tried to avoid violence and had acted only after Trevor threatened his daughter. As officers placed Trevor and his friends in handcuffs for assault and disorderly conduct, the bully lowered his head, too ashamed to look Marcus in the eye. "I'm sorry," he muttered. Marcus nodded. Being strong isn't about hurting people, it's about knowing when not to. Little Ava ran into her father's arms and hugged him tightly. "Daddy," she whispered, "I knew you'd protect me." Marcus smiled softly and kissed the top of her head. "That's my job." The cafe erupted in applause. The waitress brought them fresh meals free of charge, while customers quietly thanked Marcus for showing incredible restraint under pressure. Several parents told their children they had just witnessed what real courage looked like, not anger, not revenge, but discipline. By evening, videos from the cafe had spread across social media. Millions watched as the quiet black single dad refused to fight until there was no other choice. They admired not just his extraordinary skills, but the example he set for his daughter and everyone else in the room. That day, people arrived at the cafe expecting an ordinary lunch. Instead, they witnessed a lesson they would never forget: never judge a person by worn clothes, quiet manners, or humble circumstances. Sometimes the strongest warriors are the ones who choose peace until protecting the people they love leaves them no other option.